from Emirates Airlines, yeah, a pilot. Since Diego, how long have you been a pilot?
So just before, very good evening to everybody. It has been a pleasure being joining you today. Thank you very much. So thank you for Elmer. It's such a huge honor.
Thank you for being here. Yeah.
It's my pleasure. So your first question for how long have you been a pilot for? So I did my first flight when I was 16. So I would say I have been flying for 20 years already. But in an airline, I have been an airline pilot for since 2009. What does it mean?
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So
11 years.
When I was going to introduce you, I didn't know exactly for how long you had been flying, you know? So now we do. Yeah. So thank you so much, Diego, for joining us today.
Yeah. So for an airline, I have been flying for nearly 12 years. 12 years. And yes, I have nearly 90,500 hours.
Wow, that's a lot of hours, yeah. So thank you so much for joining. So today we are celebrating the Aviation Week. Why? Because as you know, it was the Air Traffic Controllers International Day on October 20th, 2 days ago. Congratulations to you guys. You rock. Yeah.
Congratulations to you guys. You make our life much easier.
Yeah. They make our lives possible, right? Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah. And tomorrow it's Aviators Day. Yeah. So it's going to be your day tomorrow. So in order to celebrate this special dates, the Air Traffic Controllers International Day and also the Aviators Day, so we came up with this event for the Aviation Week. Yeah. So we have we're going to be celebrating both dates together here. Yeah. So I invited Diego, and it was so nice because I hadn't even finished my invitation. He says, yes. Thank you for that, man. Thank you for that.
It's a pleasure. I really do appreciate all of the effort that Elmer has been doing, all of the effort. Guys, you have been doing. I know it's not easy learning English. It's not easy process. It's not a fast process. So I do appreciate you a lot, guys.
Yeah, that's great. So as you guys know, we're going to be talking about English in aviation, you know. So Diego is now on Emirates. So as you know, as you probably imagine, no more Portuguese when you're flying, right?
No, yeah, it's hard. They are, I would say the Brazilian community is the third or fourth largest community, but even though it's really hard, most of the flights we speak only in English. And even though if I fly with a Brazilian, once we needed to do the communication, it must be in English anyway.
Even though you are a Brazilian pilot, because you are inside an Emirates flight, you got to speak English, right?
That's correct. Even if we do a flight to Brazil and there are two Brazilians, we must speak in English.
Very good. So that leads us to the first question today. Here we go. The first question is, what is it like to fly all around the world? Because now, when we met, you were working for Go Airlines and you were flying mostly domestically, sometimes to Chile, sometimes to Uruguay, as far as I remember.
Yeah, that's correct.
And now you fly just about everywhere. What is it like?
In the beginning, it's really fascinating, because as you said, one day I'm in Australia and the day after I'm in US. So Emirates has the best routes in the world, the network in the world. So it's really nice as a pilot to have the opportunity to fly in a cold weather operation. In the day after, you do a hot weather operation. You do a flight to Mexico City, which is a really high elevation. So it's really a challenge and pleasure, because sometimes you have the opportunity to look through the window and see something that you could never imagine, like Red Square in Moscow, whatever. So
wow,
it's really a pleasure. It's really nice. Certainly, we do have the best view from our office. So it's
yeah, what an office, yeah. An
Indeed.
Office 36,000 feet above, yeah?
Yeah.
Or even higher sometimes, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you think about, when we talk about flying all around the world, I know it's difficult to pick like one country, but there's gotta be your favorite. So far you've been...
Yeah, You do, you do. Certainly, I do. One country there, especially a city, actually, I wasn't expecting much, and it's so beautiful. It's Moscow. I could
Really?
never imagine it would be so nice. Yeah. So especially because I would like to have this experience about cold weather operation. So during the winter, it's really nice because it's easily below 20 degrees Celsius. So I had never had the opportunity to land under certain weather conditions. So it was really, really nice. And you go to Red Square, you know, like uh, I have my favorite restaurant there. So every time
Uh-huh.
I go to Red Square, I have an amazing view from the window. So like it is snowing. I would never imagine it being having a dinner in Moscow during the winter. So
Yeah.
Moscow, I would put it definitely on my top five. Another place that's
Yeah.
amazing, but as expected from everybody, it's Maldives, Seychelles. So like it's really nice having an opportunity to have a layover there where you can enjoy a beach where then like I could never ever imagine it being there.
Okay, just to get this straight. So you are paid to fly to the Maldives.
Yes, you get paid, but you get money to eat there. It's true, and it's a
Oh
quite short
my
flight.
gosh.
Yeah, from Dubai, like from Dubai to Maldives, about 4 hours. So there are five flights a day, and only one of them is a layover. The other is too short. It's a night term. Sorry, it's a night flight. That's why it's a layover. The others that during the day is just a turnaround because it's quite close.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we really are talking about like, I mean, just like, I mean, it's an experience like out of this world. I mean, you get to
I
go
know.
to,
I know.
yeah,
That what is
places
really
like
nice about
that.
yeah, what is really nice about Emirates is because if you consider 777 in any other airline, they are the best aircraft. So you only do long hauls. Here you have
I
the
see.
experience. You do a short haul. You're doing a 777. Like one day you do, I don't know, Bahrain flight. It's like 45 minutes. And the day after you go to Auckland, it's like 17 hours. So it's really, really nice. You do have the experience to having like short hauls, long hauls. You know, like as I said, like cold weather, high operation. You go to China where you fly in meter. You know, like you go to an airport where you do a KFE approach. So it's a completely different. So that's why Emirates requires really good preparation before the flight because, as you said, we fly the world. So you do a flight
Exactly.
to the US, like you needed to cross the pole. So there are procedures, they're different, and you don't do that every day. So every
I see.
time, every day before a flight, you need to do a preparation. Read all the rules and regulations from certain countries. You know, like who you needed to call before. So it demands quite a huge preparation before every flight.
I see. And just to explain to the guys, you see the expression short haul flights and long haul flights, yeah?
Pardon.
So the short haul would be like the short duration, yeah?
Yeah.
Long haul is the long duration. We don't say long duration flights, right? We say long haul. And by the way, from starting from how many hours do you consider a long haul flight?
Yes, up to 9 hours, you have only a single crew. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, but to
So,
be considered a long haul, I mean, more than 4 hours is a long haul already?
no. So until 9 hours is a short flight. I mean,
Oh,
only two pilots is a single crew. So from 9 hours to 12, you would start considering not a long haul, but it's not short. So you need at least three pilots. So
I see.
above 12 hours, you could consider a long haul.
Very good. So you see, here is Diego talking about how he gets to fly to Maldives sometimes, and getting paid for that. And then people say like, oh, but that's like amazing. Yeah, but the thing is, it requires a lot of effort. I remember you studying like crazy. I mean, people don't know, but we were classmates at ITA, yeah, doing the flight safety course. That's when I met you. And so as a pilot, I saw you studying a lot all the time. I mean, I don't remember you not studying because you
Yeah.
were taking a course of ATP license, and then you were going for, I mean, for the flight safety certificate with me at ITA. And I mean, you never stopped studying,
Yeah.
and English was always there. Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
And then I have a question here. Yeah, how has English opened doors for you professionally?
Actually, I needed to answer that question. I needed to go a bit backwards, right?
Yeah.
So, as everybody else, I always expected things to be easier. So I always had an excuse to myself. Oh, I will study later. I will learn later. It will come up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I could never speak English, to be honest. It was really, really hard. So I went to the university, and I always had a plan to live abroad. I always had a plan. All right, I'm going to live abroad. Once I go there, I will learn English. So we always have an excuse to not start studying. So when I moved after the university to London, where I stayed for nearly 2 years. So when I arrived there, the reality came up, because I thought it would be really easy to learn. I said, okay, I'm living abroad, so it's going to be really easy. And actually, it's completely the opposite. First of all, I went to an English school where all the students couldn't speak English properly. Right? So all my friends there, they couldn't speak English. Otherwise, they wouldn't be at the school.
Okay.
So I needed to get a job because London was so expensive. But I couldn't speak English. So all the jobs I had, they were trash.
I can imagine.
Because you don't speak to anybody. So you needed to put a lot of, I needed to put a lot of effort on that, because I knew I needed to go back to Brazil and look for a job. I had all the license, but I couldn't speak English. So even in London, it's really hard, because you always expect you're going to have like a native speaker friend. No. Even though London is the most cosmopolitan city in the world, they don't like foreigners. They don't want to talk to you. I'm being honest. So I was always hoping to learn English by living abroad, but it's not easy at all. And especially when I was talking to other Brazilians, they had been there for a really long time and they couldn't speak English. And I always asked them, oh, for how long have you been here for? And they were saying like, oh, for 1 year. Wow, they don't speak English at all. So I knew I needed to do something differently. Otherwise, I would be like them. And I knew that was my only chance to learn English. So what I did was I lived with, I met some Swedish. We become friends. I live with them, but I really pushed myself into this school. I said, okay, I need to start, because no one is going to correct your pronunciation, your grammar, unless you study by yourself. So that's why I really appreciate what you guys are doing, because I know it's not easy. And we always think it like the other grass is greener, but it's not true. It's not easy for anybody. So that's why I appreciate a lot. And I remember when we did the course together, I was studying English. And that time, when I got a job at Go, to be honest, the English level in Brazil is quite low. So my level was really good for the Brazilian reality.
Yes.
But I remember that I was studying a lot, because the Emirates settlement process is really hard. I remember when I did it, there were 40 pilots and only 2 made through.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really hard.
So out of 40, only 2 people got in.
Yes, yeah. And English, I remember when I joined, you say about English, right? So just to make a timeline. So I graduated from the university, I lived abroad, came back and joined Go. So I stayed in Go for nearly 8 years. Then I joined Emirates. So I hadn't spoken English properly for almost 8 years, right?
There you go.
So when I joined Emirates, I remember from my bench of pilots, there were 16. I was the only one that wasn't a native speaker. So I remember the first time I went out, and even though I had lived in London, I had never, ever had an English friend. So when I joined Emirates, there were so many English guys, Australians. So I remember my first weekend, we went to a bar to celebrate that we had joined Emirates. So on the bar, there was one English and two Australian guys, and they were drunk. And they started making jokes. I couldn't understand any single word. And I was like, what did I do to myself? I'm not going to make it.
What am I doing here? Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember on my joining day at Emirates, came like an English, she was from the headquarters, something. So she came to say, hello, welcome to Emirates. And I remember it was today. She looked like, guys, don't forget, English is the official language of Emirates. And here is not an English school. So you must speak it properly. I felt like...
Well, welcome, yeah?
Because everybody else was like a native speaker. So I really thought like she was pointing to me, so like, hey, be careful, stop, be aware. Because here is not an English school.
Yeah, but there you go. And the thing is, I mean, for the guys who are natives, I mean, they were just like, you know, I mean, they were just getting a job, you know, I mean, like, no problem, yeah?
Yes, and especially Emirates is a really cosmopolitan company. So you do have guys from everywhere in the world. So getting used to all of the accent is really, really hard. So, you know, like there are guys from everywhere. So you fly to all the world. So it's really, really hard until you get used to, and especially because when you do your first flight, I mean, I had flown to all the South America, Caribbean islands, whatever. But when you fly in Dubai, it's one of the busiest airports ever. So they speak so fast, you don't know what's going on. So until you get used to, it takes about 1-2 months. Until there, every time you go to fly, you need to say again at least 3-4 times. But it's really busy. It's really, really hard.
So the most used sentence in the first few months would be like, can you say again? Can you repeat that, please? Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, that's real life. Yeah. And then, so the thing is, you see, none of this would have been possible without English then.
Oh, no, you can't even apply. The funny thing about the assessment process at Emirates, even though you are level 4, 5, 6, whatever, they don't really care. So during the assessment process, before an invitation, they give you a call to speak in English, to see if you can speak English. Wow. So I remember it was like, because Dubai is like 7 hours ahead, right? So I remember I applied online. So you need like the minimum requirement, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So you send your CV and they give you a call and they chat about whatever, 10 minutes, just to see if you can speak English. Otherwise, you are not even invited to do the assessment process.
I see. So you see, it's like it's a world, and it's an English world, yeah. I mean, without English, it's not gonna be possible, yeah.
It's gonna be a language. I mean, there is no other way.
And then with people from all over the world, and also, I mean, just like you, we have other foreigners working internationally. And we also have like you flying over countries in which English is not their native language. I mean, like take Europe, for example. When you're flying over France, you're still talking in English, but I mean, first language is French. Or you're flying over Poland and people speak Polish, yeah? And then the first thing that comes to my mind is miscommunication. I don't know. How common is miscommunication in international flights? Because we have, like, it's a Babel tower. I mean, everybody's speaking English, but most people are not native speakers. So is it common to have miscommunication situations there?
It is. It is really common indeed, especially because you do have like an international rules, standardization rules, whatever, but every country, every airport has his particular. So you come to Dubai, they are not 100% standard. There are some phraseology, it's just for Dubai. So until you get used to, it's really hard. So secondly, as you said, you fly to countries where English is not the mother language. So you go to China, for example, it's really hard. It's really, really hard indeed. Sometimes you needed to say again 10 times. because
10
they
times.
can't. Yeah, it's really, really
And
hard.
you're not exaggerating, yeah?
No, China is one of the worst. China, by far, they have like the worst accent. For Chinese, it's really hard to speak English. So there you fly. When you fly over China, you need to prepare a lot because they do have so many forbidden areas where you can't overfly. And sometimes you have a weather and you are not allowed to deviate, or you ask it for deviation approved and they deny. So
Wow.
China, India is really, really hard because Indians, for an Indian person, they are considered to speak English properly if they speak fast. So it's sometimes you need to say again, because, and the problem there is if you ask to say again, they speak even faster. But
And nobody tells them how difficult their accent is, do they?
No, because it's kind of
We should have a campaign like, hey, Indians, we know that English is your, it's your first language too, but you know what? Nobody gets your accent, so please speak slower.
But to be honest, Dubai is good on that because most of the drivers here are Indian, so you really get used to that. To be honest,
yeah?
I have no issues about Indian accent at all because Dubai, the population in Dubai is like 85% of expats, and Indians are by far the largest community. So wherever you fly here, wherever you go here, always there is an India or a Paki, whatever. So you really get used to their accent quite quickly here. But Chinese, and for me, fun enough, one of the worst, it's US.
No way.
They are not standard at all. They have their own phraseology. And the problem when you talk to a native speaker is because their vocabulary is really vast. They can say whatever they want to. Sometimes when you go to a country, like say you go to France, it's not their first language. So their vocabulary are quite small. So they keep quite standard. But when you fly to US, you never know. And the problem is they are not standard. So they can give a completely unexpected clearance. And this is the problem about US. Because with Emirates, we fly to 17 or nearly 20 seats there. But, like you go to Denver or, for example, Dallas, it's really busy. Dallas, Chicago, New York, it's really busy. But I do a flight to Chicago maybe once or twice a year. Emirates is there every day. So they think we should know, but we don't know. There are 4,000 pilots flying around the world. How many times do I fly to LA?
So they take for granted that you are not the one coming there every day. So they think
granted out. You fly here every day, like you go to JFK 5 flights a day. You must know, but it's not standard.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Yeah, and the problem is like New York is completely different from Miami. It's completely different from Chicago. So there is no standard in US. So for me, and also it's really, really busy. So for me, it's one of the worst. It's US.
It's nice that you mentioned that because sometimes, here we have people who are going for level 4, people who are going for level 5, maybe somebody going for level 6. And sometimes it's nice to reinforce that if this piece of information, that keeping the standard phraseology is really important for international pilots. So the controllers, in order to avoid miscommunication, it's better to stick to phraseology.
Yes. Another thing I would say about Brazil, I just realized after living abroad, it's because China, Turkey, and Brazil are the only countries where they speak the local language in the international airports. So if you go to Spain, everybody's going to be in an international airport. Everybody is going to be speaking in English, and it makes a huge difference to the pilots. Because when we fly to Turkey, for example, it's really busy. The weather there can be horrible, miserable, and you don't know what is going on because they are speaking in their own language. It's horrible for situation awareness. I just note that after I left Brazil. So we do fly with Emirates to Rio and Sao Paulo. And pilots are really afraid of going there because the weather can be really challenging, and we do speak in Portuguese, so no one knows what's going on. It's horrible.
So
For
would you say like,
it's horrible. So I after living flying abroad, whatever, I truly believe that every flight in Guarulhos or Galeão, whatever, any international airport should be speak in English.
I see. Because it's like for those who do not speak the local language, it's like they're flying in the dark.
They're lost.
So
They don't know what
it's a problem for situational awareness.
awareness. So like you have like they don't know. So you're arriving in Guarulhos and there is a hold. They don't know for how long. Maybe it's because of the weather. They are changing the runways, whatever. But the aircraft, the ATC, it's really busy. They can't say what's the reason why. The pilots are lost. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how long it's gonna take. And they're like, when I fly to Brazil, it's easy because I can speak Portuguese, whatever. But you fly to China, they're speaking in Chinese. You have no clue what's going on. And they'll be so that's why I noticed if you fly to US, even to Europe, or you fly to Africa, whatever, they speak only in English. So it makes a huge difference because you know what's going on. Okay, there is a weather. They are changing the runway, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Let's check our fuel. Let's check the alternate, whatever it is. Otherwise, you get in the dark. You don't know what is going on. So I truly believe that in the international airports, every flight should be spoken in English, even the national flights.
Yeah, but it's well, so we have a comment here that sometimes even in Portuguese nobody knows what's going on. Yeah, because the she's saying that that the number of pilots who pay attention to phraseology is really low. Wow, in Brazil.
Yes, in US, when you go to a busy airport like JFK, whatever, if the ATC give you an instruction twice and you miss it, it's considered it's kind of fault. So they report to the airline.
No way. That's a
Yeah.
rule in the United States. It's probably an FAA rule, yeah.
Yes, but it's most in JFK.
But the thing is, I don't know if you correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the feeling from listening to I mean I'm constantly listening to audios and videos from what goes on in the United States in terms of like airports and control, and I have a feeling that when you ask for repetition, the controllers speak faster in English
Yeah.
rather than speaking more slowly because you seem to be lost. Is that, I
Indeed.
mean, is it just like an
That's
impression
correct.
or they do
Yeah.
it?
Yes, it's correct. It's correct. And this is the problem there. As I said, like if you go to Dallas, I didn't know Dallas was so busy. It's incredible. You get lost really easily, or Chicago. And they really speak fast. And if you ask, they get angry and they speak even faster. But
You
it's not
see,
going to
that's
make
not
any
the point.
because you need it. Okay, say again, speak slower. But this is the thing as well. When you speak slower, they kind of speak slower as well. You don't, as a pilot, at least I always try to go on my way. Because if
Okay.
they speak faster, I reply slower. Because then you slow them down. They realize you are an expert, you are not from there, you're not familiar with the procedures. Then otherwise, it's as you said, it's really, really hard. They speak really, really fast.
So would you say that maybe a suggestion for the Brazilian controllers who are flying internationally would be like if they do not understand because the pilot is speaking too fast, instead of just saying, can you repeat? You should say, can you repeat more slowly, please? Or
Yes,
can you say that again more slowly? I mean, is it important to emphasize that it should be more slowly?
definitely, definitely. I mean,
Because then
especially
the pilot will slow down.
they will slow down as well. Definitely.
All right, all right. And then, so United States, it's mostly because of how fast they speak and also because of the how busy they are rather than the accent, properly saying.
To be honest, I do have the American accent is slightly harder because I live in
Oh,
England. I've got so many Australian friends, so many South African friends. So I'm more used to other accents than the Americans, and they speak really fast. And so, of
okay.
course, they have like the busiest airports in the world. But Dubai is really, really fast. Really, really busy. And even though it's not that hard, I reckon they are not standard. The Americans they have their own rule, so that's the hardest part. because
They
in
have, like-
every yes, so they have their own phraseology, their own rules. So it is harder. It is harder.
Because some people are asking here in the chat privately, from all these countries you fly to, what's the hardest accent to understand? You know,
But
so,
you mean all of that include the note the name
the non-native.
No, China by far. China. I would
Chinese
be
speaking English is a problem.
yeah. So first is China, second is China, third is China.
Wow, China's doing really well. It feels
China
like
is
the Olympics.
but let's say so like top three, the worst. So China first, secondly I would put India, and third one Nigeria.
Nigeria.
Horrible. The
And
Africans,
it's
they
funny.
speak quite well. They quite speak well, but the Nigerians are horrible.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
interesting because when you said that, I mean, and there are some people from, you said the Kenyans, you have like some Kenyans working with you.
No, but they speak it
And
properly.
it's
They
okay,
have like
right?
yeah, they have a strong African accent, but it's okay. But the Nigerians, well, it's really hard. So I put Chinese, Indians, then I will put the Nigerians. But then, like you go to Australia, they have a really strong accent. So it's really funny because you call them. They say they say like in English they say center. In the Americans they will say center, but in Australian they say Senna. It always remind me the driver. Yes, call Brisbane Senna. So it's center. Yes, Senna.
It reminds
always
of who?
reminds me the driver. Always remind me. It's
Ayrton
how they
Senna.
speak. Yes. So they always say like call Brisbane Senna.
So I believe the song plays in your mouth. Dun, 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 you know, like, oh my gosh, right here. Yeah.
But it is like. So
but it's
that's
funny
what
you said that. It's funny you said that the Aussie accent's not a problem to you because I mean, as an English teacher, I do not have like much contact with English from Australia or New Zealand, and when I do, I really have to pay attention because that's to me is harder than the other, native speakers. But so it all comes down to how much you are used to it, isn't it?
Yes, that very good. One of my best two friends is Australian, so we get along almost every day. So I have got so many Australian friends or South Africans. So for me, South Africa in the beginning was hard, and now it's so easy.
It is.
Do you know which one is the hardest for native speaker? It's horrible. It's Scotch or Irish. But the Irish is really funny because if you talk to someone from Dublin, it's probably the easiest English ever. It sounds like a Brazilian speaker. But if you talk with someone from the North Island, oh, that's impossible. That's not English. It's Scotch and North Island. It's not English. It's different.
Remember, it's funny that you said that because I remember two movies in which I had trouble understanding what was being said. One of them was Billy Elliot. Now I confuse with the singer.
The musical.
Yeah, the musical with the boy who does ballet. And when I saw that movie in the movie theater in São Paulo, I was like, man, what's going on with my English today? Little did I know that it was not my problem, you know what I mean? Because it was Irish, and being Irish is really tough.
Really hard.
Yeah, and
really.
another one that I also had to read the subtitles, because people think, as a teacher, you don't have to worry about subtitles. Actually, in my house, I tend not to, otherwise I would be cheating. But in the movie theater, usually I just like sit down and relax. But there was this one movie that I really had to rely on the subtitles, which is a South African movie called District 9.
Okay.
I don't know if you have seen. It's a fantastic movie, by the way. District 9. In Portuguese, it's the same name, District 9. And it's in South Africa. And oh my gosh, that was tough to me.
For me,
that was really tough.
There are too many South Africans. For me, actually, it sounds really nice. I really like the South African accent.
Yeah, Springbok. Yeah. Because in Brazil, people say that it's difficult to talk to Springbok. It's Springbok, they say, right? Somebody, yeah?
Springboks.
Springboks, yeah. I have a question here for you, Diego, from Tassiani. She's asking whether the Emirates pilots who come with you to Brazil, they complain about Brazilian accent. I mean, do they have trouble understanding? Do they complain about it?
It is or actually, it's not only Brazilians, but all the Latin accents really, really hard to understand. So Brazilians, Portuguese, Spanish, French, the Argentinians, Chileans. So it's really hard. We do have a strong accent, especially depending on where you are. If you're from Rio, it's even stronger, right? From Rio, we have a strong accent. But yeah, but the worst thing for them, especially Rio, is because, as I said before, we arrive in Rio at 3 in the afternoon. So it's not really busy, and we are the only international flight arriving at that time. So for them, what they are complaining about, the most complaint at least, it's no one speaks English, so they don't know what's going on. It's really, really, yeah. And I felt that, especially when I go to Turkey. Every time I go to Turkey, I think about the pilots when they go to Brazil, because it's really busy, domestic flights, and you don't know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. You don't know, because they're speaking it. So you never know when you can speak or not. It's like going to China. You don't know if they have like read back or not. So you don't know when you can speak or not. It's really, really hard. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's a suggestion for you guys. But I know you can't. You just can reply the pilots. But would it be a suggestion for the airlines? They're like, they should speak. And it would improve the level of everybody. The more you speak, the better you get. So it will improve the level of the English level for pilots, for the air traffic controllers, especially because I can understand as an air traffic controller, if the pilots don't speak in English, you can't. So it's really hard, because under a certain weather conditions, for example, let's say so, you're not used to speaking English. Eventually, it's a really bad weather, you have international flights, and you can't, because you're not used to.
Yeah,
so if it was a rule,
it's funny you said that, because you see, I have some amazing students from Pirassununga Academy Approach, and they always tell me that the pilots speak to them. I mean, the military pilots, they speak to them in English in order to practice, and that gives them a chance to speak English as well.
Yes,
so it's exactly what you said, right? It's like a trade, yeah. I mean, because the controller would be practicing, and the pilot would be practicing too.
And actually, it would be easier even for the controllers when they needed to speak to the international airlines. Because imagine it, you are not used to. Eventually, you have a really big weather, thunderstorms, whatever, and you need to give orders or give instructions for them. You don't know how to say, because you haven't said it before. So the more you practice them, the easier it will get.
Exactly.
So it would be better for everybody, even for the pilots as well.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but practice does make perfect. Yeah. So the more you practice, because it makes all the difference.
It's all about training. The more you do, the better you get.
Exactly. And I have a question from Talita here from YouTube. She's asking that, even though, I mean, so we talked about the Brazilian situation here, but is it enough to be understood? I mean, do controllers make themselves understood in English through your peers?
Yes, I would say so. The only problem, because we are not native speakers, that we're not, it's under a normal or regular circumstances, everything goes quite smooth. But the problem comes when it's not regular operation. So I have been once, and it was part of the preview. I remember once I was arriving in Rio, and I was the augmenting pilot. Do you know what does augmenting mean?
Augmented flight?
Yeah, augmenting pilot.
Like when you have like more crew members, right?
Yes. So I was sitting on the back. So there was an English and South African pilot. So they were the pilot flying monitor. I was behind.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the augmenting pilot. And I remember there was a really big tandem stops in Rio. So they start asking for some information, and wasn't the standard communication. Then it becomes quite a problem. But under normal circumstances, it's quite smooth. It's not an issue.
I see.
Did I make myself clear?
Yeah. To me, guys, did you understand? Yeah. So I just wrote here for the guys to understand, like augmented crew. Yeah. So it's like this. I mean, just for them to understand better the concept. So ideally, there should be 2 pilots in the cockpit, and you are the third pilot. Is that right?
Yes, from 9 to 12 hours, there is the third pilot, and above 12 hours, so the flights to Rio, there are 4 pilots.
4 pilots. That's the augmented crew.
Yes. So 2 pilots will be flying. So one is the pilot flying, the other is the monitor, and they should take off and do the landing. So what happened is, during the takeoff and landing, all the pilots should be in the cockpit. So after liftoff, so after the takeoff, after passing 10,000 feet, the augmenting crew, they go to rest.
Okay.
So we
after 10,000 feet, yeah.
After 10,000 feet, the augmenting crew goes to have a rest. So we split the flighting time in half. So let's say, so from Rio is about 12 hours. So 14 hours, let's say, so 14 hours. So cruise should be about 13 hours. So it's usually 6.5 each. So we have, the augmenting crew has the first rest. So we rested for 6 hours and a half. Then we change. And the operating crew, because the other is the operating. So the operating crews, they come back 1 hour before the landing. And they do the landing preparation.
I see. And by the way, when you are like resting, do you really rest? I mean,
yes, I do.
What do you guys do?
We do have it's hard to see just in those big aircraft, but we do have like a rest room in the roof of the aircraft. So you do have so
it's like a resting spot, a place for you to get some rest.
Yeah, so there are like 10 beds.
10 beds.
But they are really small, really tiny. So you can't really walk. You go up and you crawl.
Oh.
So you crawl and you reach your bed.
Wow, it's interesting because I always think, well, but I don't see them leaving the cockpit.
Yeah,
especially because I'm not in the first class, so I mean I don't get this view.
All the airlines in the world, the pilots rest, or it's called CRC, right? Is the crew rest compartment. So the crew rest compartment in 777 usually is just above or really close to the cockpit. But Emirates has the best first class, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they put on the aft of the aircraft. So we needed to walk all the way. So we go up, we crawl, and we got to the bed.
Ah, you see, I got it now. So then you have to go to the aft of the aircraft in some planes, yeah.
Yes. No, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah, all of them. So you go to the back, is on the aft. So you go up. You need like crawling because you can't walk there.
I got it now.
You crawl there until your bed and you sleep.
Okay. So yeah, that's why the pilots go there and they disappear. Yeah.
Yes, because you have like.
Interesting. And by the way, aft is like the meaning of the rear of the aircraft. Yeah,
the rear.
You say aft. Yeah. Aft would be the meaning is like, is it like it's more common for you guys to use aft than rear?
Yes.
Interesting. So
especially because all the setting of the aircraft, you say forward or aft. So all the buttons, whatever. So we say in the aft.
So in the aft like this, we are like in the rear. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And in the forward will be the front.
Yes.
Yeah, because we have like aft cargo door. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All the settings you see.
So this is really interesting, guys. You see, aft is the back of the plane and forward is the front. Yeah. People are asking like if you were gonna record the live because they're really enjoying. Yeah, of course, guys. It's gonna be available for some time for you guys to see it. Yeah. Okay. But and I have here just one more comment. Let me see. We have a comment here from Renata saying that she's laughing a lot with the fact that controllers speak faster in the United States when you ask them for repetition. I mean, because she's agreeing. Yeah. She says like, how can they do that? Yeah. And that's reality, right, guys? It's reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. By the way, guys, if you have questions, you can keep sending them via YouTube, via Zoom. We have like the students are here via Zoom in the camarote, enjoying the live from inside. You can also ask the questions. And I'm also monitoring the YouTube. So if you have any questions to Diego, send them right away. Okay. I have the next topic here for you, Diego. which is this question here. At the end of the day, who is easier to understand? Native controllers or non-native controllers speaking English?
To be honest, I would say the no native speakers.
Wow.
Because their vocabulary is really small. So they have got the tendency to keep it standard.
To keep it simple.
Much simpler. So you go to UK, they can say whatever they want, and for them it makes sense. You go to US, they say like, they start chatting. They say, and it's really busy. It's strong accent as well, because you go whatever to Dallas, they have a really strong accent as well.
You see?
So to be honest, the hardest country to fly to for me, especially, is the US.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, and so there you're saying that, I mean, keep it simple. Like every time, because aviation is so, we use English as a lingua franca, like the language that everybody's communicating, no matter where they are from. So it is important to keep it simple, so we avoid miscommunication. Stick to phraseology. Yeah, and probably the only moment that you will really need to, use all those level 6 knowledge is when you have an emergency, right?
Yes. Or not really an emergency, but like a non-routine situation. Could be anything. It doesn't need to be like an emergency. Like say, like you have a disrupted passenger on board, or due to weather, whatever it is. Like you could find out like flight conditions, but it doesn't need to be an emergency situation, but certainly not a routine situation.
A non-routine, that's right. Like a disruptive, because people always think about aggressive passenger. But we have like unruly, disruptive. So all these words pop up.
You could have like a pregnant lady on board, whatever it is. It could be anything, like it's not the normal condition, but doesn't need to be an emergency.
And as a controller, it's really important to know all this vocabulary, don't you think so? Because we never know how the pilot is gonna report this.
Definitely, you need to know. Otherwise, they are gonna be, because they are already in a hurry.
Yeah, we have a woman in labor. They say, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" We have a woman in labor. A woman in labor? Yeah, what is that? So if you only know pregnant, and somebody says a woman in labor, you don't know what's going on, right? Exactly. So it's important to have this.
Especially describing the passenger, disruptive passenger, whatever. You needed to know those vocabulary by far, because the pilots are already in a hurry. They need assistance. So you needed to have those vocabulary for sure.
Yeah.
That's why it would be really nice if you speak that in English, because what are the odds that an international flight will have an issue? So if you speak to everybody, like even the Brazilian pilots, whatever, every day, the chances are much higher. So you're going to get used to. So by the time you're going to talk to a native speaker, it's going to be really easy. It's going to be in your mind. You know what to do.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yeah, and by the way, talking about vocabulary, what are the odds? Like, what are the possibilities? What are the chances? Yeah. So what are the odds? What are the chances? And it's nice that sometimes even native speakers have trouble understanding each other, right? You have a nice story from the British pilot, a friend of yours.
Yeah, it's really, really funny, because we really think for us is the only difficult, right? Because we are not native speakers, but the slang changes a lot from Australians to South Africans. So I remember once I had just said it to Elmer. Once I flew with an English captain, and he was from the countryside. So he never really had left UK before. And I was saying about, because we did a flight to, where it was? Manchester, whatever, somewhere in England. And the controller, they said something really, really no standard, and it's not really common. But the reason why they didn't use the standard phraseology is because he was the pilot monitor. So he was chatting to them. So they realized he was English.
That's why the English accent, yeah.
Yeah, so like they started chatting, but I was like, man, I didn't get anything. It's like, don't worry, man, it's not really easy. And he told it to me once, because he had never left the UK. So the first time he left the UK, he saw the sign restroom. And in UK, they only use toilet or loo. So he really thought restroom was a room to rest, to have a nap. to relax. So he really thought, wow, they are really modern here. They have like a relaxing room, because he thought rest room would be a place to rest. So it was really funny because for us, like we learned American English. So for us, it's quite easy. We get used to it. But he's a native speaker and he didn't know.
Yeah, I would like to see his face when he goes to Canada, and there they say washrooms.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I was gonna think, okay, so in restrooms, I mean, okay, so people go there to rest. And what do they do? I mean, what do they wash in the washrooms? Yeah. But this is a funny thing, because sometimes even the native speakers, they can have some kind of trouble understand each other. I don't know if I told you already, Diego, but the moment that I felt the best about English was when I was in Chicago as well. I was having this backpacking across the northeast of the United States. I was living in Canada at the time. And I was in Chicago, and lucky me that there were only people from England, one girl from Austria, and two people from Germany, and me at the hostel. I was staying in a hostel because, I mean, I was traveling cheap, I mean, backpacking, and I didn't have the money as well. And then, so I was hanging out with the guys from England, you know. To cut long story short, after the tour, there was I, Emily, and Chris, both girls from London. And I said, how about we have a burger? They said, oh, amazing. So let's grab a burger. And there was this nice burger place, like just like near the place where we were. And I said, well, how about we go there? Sure, no problem. So we sat down, we got the menu, and the waiter, this guy from Chicago, he came to talk to us. And one of the girls, I think it was Emily, she was a vegetarian at the time. And then she told the guy, you know, like she was like, I can't eat meat. And she spoke like with that very characteristic, strong accent from London, like Amy Winehouse. I can't, you know, have meat. And I don't know, I cannot do that. But the thing is, and then the waiter was looking at her like puzzled. And then I said, she's saying that she doesn't have meat because she's a vegetarian. So she's wondering, what do you have in the menu that doesn't go meat? Oh, sure. And then he got the menu and he was explaining to her with his very strong accent from Chicago. And he was a black guy. In Chicago, they really have a very strong accent in the Afro-American community. And then both girls, Emily and Chris, looked at me like, what did he say? They said, well, he's explaining that here. And then I was telling them the options, you know. And then she said, oh, great. And then she says, oh, Elmer, can you ask him whether this one, Suddenly, I am the Brazilian guy who was working pro bono because there was no money involved.
Thank you, the link.
Exactly. There was being the interpreter between a guy from Chicago and two British girls. And that was amazing. I said, like, man, I mean, I never in my wildest dreams would I ever think that one day I would be doing this, you know? And to me, that was like the experience of a lifetime, because the three of them were native speakers and they couldn't understand each other. Only I could.
Nice. Yeah, but do you know what I found really interesting? Is because when I joined, there was a Finnish guy. He ended up becoming my best friend. They have a really good English.
Finnish.
Finnish, yes.
Yeah, from Finland. Okay, that's Finland.
Yeah, Finland. So it's really funny because sometimes it's easier to talk to a non-native speaker than talking to a native speaker. Because when you learn a different language, when you learn the second, third, it doesn't matter. When you learn another language, your brain knows how the process works.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes the native speaker, they only can understand the perfect phrase, the perfect question.
With a perfect accent.
Yes, because the accent maybe they can handle, but especially the structure, the grammar, whatever, because they don't know what you're trying to ask. Once you talk to another no-native speaker, they know how, because they go through the same process about thinking in a different language. So they can easily understand what you're trying to say. Did I make myself clear?
Yeah, you really do, you know, because it's like sometimes when we Brazilians are there just we're just like having fun, and then you go to a different part of Brazil, and because people speak differently, we don't understand each other as well.
Yes.
It happens
Yes.
too, right?
Yeah.
I have a question here from Renata on YouTube. She's asking whether would it be possible to share a situation with us, your experience in the Brazilian airspace when you needed more help and the English language was a problem? Like, I mean, you or one of your friends as well. I mean, something they said, like something that happened here.
I remember once, was in Rio as well. Sorry, it's because I do more. The 777 was
Yeah,
doing the
just to
Rio
make
flight.
it clear, guys. I mean, he travels all the time to Galeão, okay?
Yeah.
So I mean, so he doesn't have experience in Recife,
Yeah.
you know?
And the 380 was going to
São
Guarulhos. So
Paulo, yeah.
most of my experience were in Rio. That's why.
Yeah.
Because like, but I remember once we were in Rio, and there was on the ground a kite, and I was the pilot flying. So I had this South African captain, and he was trying to explain there was a kite, but he tried to explain like several times. So I'm not joking, like maybe like 90 times different way, and I started laughing because I could see the guy couldn't get it, and eventually I got on the radio and said, like, "No, it's just uma pipa," because like they couldn't. I knew like it was the lack of vocabulary. I know like he was trying to explain, and the more he explained, worse was getting, because he was going deeper, deeper. So like, okay, sorry, but it's easy if I say like uma pipa. So it wasn't real though. But once again, it's just because I used to fly only to Rio.
Okay.
I didn't
Nice
used to
one.
fly.
Yeah, because the thing is, I mean, whenever we have like, it's amazing. Sometimes you know the word, but just because you are faced with a situation in which now you have to speak, and then the word just disappears, right? Yeah.
Especially because you're not expecting, right? It's a completely unexpected situation. So you try, what's going on? It's really, really hard to paint the picture. So you say, what's going on? And it's getting worse and worse because he was trying, then he realized, okay, she doesn't know what is kite, so I'm going to try another way. So it was getting even worse and worse because then it was a flight. So you were expecting some clearance, whatever, but a technical issue to return to the gate or taxi clearance. So it's a completely different situation, an unexpected situation.
Unexpected, yeah. That's when you really have to prove your English, right?
Indeed.
Unexpected. I have another question here. Talking about Emirates, do they hire pilots who are only level 4?
Yes, they do. But as I have said, they give you a call first. And as soon as you arrive in Dubai, you needed to do GCAA. It's the aviation authority here. So it would be the ANAC from the UAE. Mm-hmm. So you need to do an English test here as well.
I see. So, I mean, so when you have a level 4, you can apply to the job.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, you can apply.
You can already apply. But they will still have the interview and the call.
Yes, the call. I mean, you have all the assessment process, so it's not only the call. The call
is really long, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you have the call, then you have all the assessment process, and once you join the airline, this is about the aviation authority. You needed to do an English test again. Doesn't matter your grade. You're level 6. You get there, you needed to do an English test.
Yeah, that's another question that I have here. When you have the level from ANAC here, is it valid in Europe or you gotta take another one?
I didn't get the question.
So if you have a level 5 or 6 from ANAC here in Brazil,
okay.
When you go to fly abroad, do you have to take another one?
Yeah, that's what I said. Like you needed to do, because this is the aviation authority rule. So you needed to do. You are allowed to start in. For example, I did my English test here after 1 year because they were really busy. So they can kind of postpone it. But you need to do. So everybody needs to do a GCAA. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, is the ANAC from UAE. So you need to do an English test. Even the native.
Sorry, go ahead. Even the native.
Even the native speakers, they needed to do an English test here.
Yeah, and by the way, it's United Arab
Emirates.
Yeah, that's why UAE.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
United Arabic.
Arab Emirates.
Yeah. You see, that's why. So because sometimes people say like,
Sorry,
oh,
this is the country because Dubai it's kind of a state. So the UAE it's made by 7 different states. So Dubai is one of them. So there is the
oh,
UAE is the
interesting.
country. Yeah, Dubai is the country. Sorry, UAE is the country.
UAE is the country. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, and by the way, I mean, for the guys who missed the beginning, I mean, Diego is speaking from Dubai. He's there right now.
Yeah.
I mean, right now in São Paulo, it's 7 o'clock. Diego is midnight already.
No, it's more. Should it be almost 2?
Almost 2 in the morning.
Yes.
No
2 in the
way.
morning. Yeah, I'm 7
Oh
hours.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. You see, guys, that's why. I mean, because some people are asking, why are we starting earlier today? Well, because it's early to us, you know, because to Diego, it's going to be starting past midnight already. Yeah? Yeah, very nice. And then I have one more question here from me, which is this question here. Well, when you were flying Go, you were mostly working with Boeing 737-800. And then when you started working for Emirates, you went to a Boeing 777. Yeah?
Yeah.
And what are the main differences between flying a Boeing 737 and a Boeing 777? And this is for the aviation lovers like us, you know? Because some guys here, they really love planes and stuff.
I can put in two different ways. Handling wise, 777 is a fly-by-wire aircraft, while the 737 is still having the wires. Mm-hmm. So flying wise, the pleasure to fly, I would put the 737 better than the 777.
Really?
Yeah, because you feel the aircraft. You know what I mean? You need to train it because it's still having wire. So it's the largest wire aircraft you can fly. The 777 is a big computer. It's just a different type of Airbus. So you give it input. So the computer will train the aircraft. So, I mean, you don't have the feeling of flying as you do on 737, especially because I'm a really 737 lover. It's an amazing machine. However, the 777 is more modern. So you do have an electronic checklist. So the 737 requires a really, really large knowledge because the lights will just pop up. So you needed to understand why that light came on.
Oh, so the light pops up, boom.
So yes,
and you have to know why.
But this light could be the consequence of this failure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an aircraft which requires extremely high knowledge about the systems. The 777 is much easier because you have an electronic checklist. So you have an ICAS system. So whatever failure you do have, it will pop up on the screen. What is the failure? So you just pop up the checklist and you follow it. So it really makes your life much easier.
Yeah.
So when you start the engines, for example, you need to start the engines. On 777, you needed to manually put the packs off, whatever it is, blah, 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 isolation valve. You needed to do all the overhead. On 777, it does by itself. So
it reduces the workload too.
Indeed. So the 777, it's much easier to fly than the 737. Even though handling-wise, I miss a lot the 737.
Yeah. And have you ever flown an Airbus?
No. Only on
would you like to?
Yes, I would love to fly every aircraft. It's a different type. I'm a pilot. I would love to fly all of them. If I could, I would stay only 2 years in every aircraft and I would change.
Okay, great. I have a question here. Do you think that the procedures and the infrastructure from airports in Brazil make flights more difficult?
There is one thing no one can understand in Guarulhos, for example. There is something like it's only in Guarulhos because I've done few flights there. And I said, it is like it is. For example, you ask for pushback, right? You request a pushback clearance. It's approved by ATC. But then the ground staffs, they have their own clearance. It doesn't make it really sense. I don't know if someone works in Guarulhos here, but it is something like it's just in Guarulhos. Do you know what I mean?
Anybody from
Another,
Guarulhos here watching? Can you comment on that? So you need you have a tower clearance and then a ground clearance.
yeah, you ask the pushback clearance to the ground. They give you Emirates, whatever, clear to pushback and start up.
Okay.
But then you talk to the engineer, okay, we are clear to push back and start up. Then the engineer will tell you, okay, now I needed to get the clearance down here.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Okay.
So like they needed to get a clearance when you had the clearance already. So they have their own clearance.
Like double clearance, yeah?
Yes. So you get the clearance from ATC, but the ground needs another clearance. So everybody looks at that. It is what it is.
I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I understood.
Yes. And another problem for us, infrastructure-wise, when you fly 777, you don't have many airports in Brazil. So you have like Galeão, Confins, São Paulo, Campinas. You don't have many. So you're flying, for example, from here to Buenos Aires is horrible because Porto Alegre is not good enough. Curitiba, maybe. Florianópolis, not a chance. So you don't have many options. So if you are coming from...
Yes, so you're coming in the event of an emergency?
Yes, and for example, you're coming from a really long flight from Dubai, right? So eventually you get a really big weather coming in Guarulhos or Rio. You don't have many options. So infrastructure-wise, not only Brazil, right? South America is really challenging,
I see.
And imagine it, if you needed to fly, for example, you needed to divert to Confins. We got stuck there forever. No, we get there seriously. There is no infrastructure at all, so it's really challenging.
There's no infrastructure for a Boeing 777 there.
No. In Brazil, it's really hard. I mean, the aprons are not designed for, so it's not really easy because the main international aviation is only Guarulhos and Galeão. Now it's getting cargo-wise. You do have Campinas, but that's it.
That's it.
So you don't have a really infrastructure.
I have the answer here from Pamela. She's saying that the responsibility on the ground, Infraero is liable for everything on the ground. So when you talk to ATC, the ATC gives you the okay to go. But Infraero also has to give the okay to go because if something happens there, Infraero is liable for it. So
I know.
It's a problem of liability.
Yeah, I know there is the red line that divides where is that from the tower, where is from the airport. But I tell you, it's the only place in the world.
Another question here that is really interesting. Do you know any Brazilian pilot who had problems to understand, had some kind of communication problem? And when he was flying abroad, do you have like other friends who are flying? We have our friend from ITA as well flying Qatar, yeah?
Yes.
But do you have more friends who are Brazilian or more colleagues? And have they ever experienced some kind of communication problem?
Yes. It's really common for us in the beginning. As I said, like you come to Dubai, it's really busy, extremely busy. They have their own phraseology as well. For example, you arrive here in the beginning, they have improved a lot, but was quite common be holding for 40 to an hour and a half every day. Yeah. Because it's really busy. So they had like expect how it's, they don't use it anymore because they have changed it, but they have some kind of expressions they had only in Dubai. So it was really hard. And I did have friends, they couldn't make it because even though you're level 4 or 5, they don't really care. You need to speak. They don't care about which level you have if you don't speak properly.
Like the level of the pilot doesn't go in the call sign, so they don't know who they're talking to. Yeah.
We do have a friend here. He joined, and he had so many issues during the training because his English wasn't good, and eventually he was fired.
Oh,
he couldn't.
Gosh.
Yeah.
He couldn't make it.
Yeah, because when you don't speak the language properly, you can't express yourself. So you are under a training, an extremely hard training. So if you can't make your point, you start getting a bad grades on knowledge, whatever, communication. Because we have 9 topics that we evaluate every flight. One of them is communication. So if you can't speak, you're gonna get a really bad grades on communication.
There you go. Yeah, and the thing is, it depends on your goals, right, Diego? if your aim, like since the moment I met you at ITA, I remember you telling me that, I mean, that your main goal was to fly in Europe, to fly abroad, not exactly in Europe, but abroad. And so all the time you had to pave the way, like study English really hard, get the ATP license and everything, in order to be able to make this dream come true. And then the controllers want to have a very nice English in order to control international traffic, for example. I mean, you can never stop, right?
No,
I
you
mean,
can't. And the
because
thing is,
when you get the level, it doesn't mean you're not going to lose it, right?
yes,
Because
and
the level is just like a paper, but the practice is the thing.
exactly. And not only that, the problem about life, it's you never know when you're gonna have the opportunity, and you need to be ready when it comes up.
Exactly.
So, for example, at that time that we were at the university, I was running a business beside it. So I said, okay, I have a good money from the airline plus the business, whatever it is. Even though I said I'm going to continue studying English, because I said I wasn't doubt if I would or not apply for any airline.
Yeah,
and I said,
I think we had like almost 40 classes, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we
So
had like
then,
almost 40 classes. Yeah. I learned,
yes.
guys, by the way, I learned a lot from these guys, okay? For this guy here. You know, like sometimes I say, how do you know this thing about planes? How do you know this thing? Because Diego, it was like this. I mean, we were kind of helping each other, right, Diego? I was
Yes,
helping you with some English and you were helping me with some knowledge of aviation, actually with a lot of knowledge for aviation. And every time that you guys say like, oh, Elmer, every time you guys have a question, I just text Diego, help me with this one. And I mean, whenever he can, he replies back, because the thing is, we are always getting in touch, because aviation, I mean, there's so many things, right? And
indeed.
and so you were studying English together at the same time because you had your goal, yeah?
And actually, for example, I knew to be an airline pilot in Brazil as a first officer, you don't need to have your ATPL. They know what is ATPL, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, so when you're a pilot,
ATPL would be the, what does it stand for again?
Air Transport Pilot License.
Yeah.
Because you do have like, so because you start with the PPL, it's private pilot license. Then you go to the CPL, it's commercial pilot license, and eventually you go to the ATPL, right? So those are the licenses. So to join an airline in Brazil as a first officer, you don't need to hold an ATPL license. But I always had a target, you know, like I said, I joined Go, I said, I don't want to just be like the others. So if you don't want to be just another one, you need to do something different. If you do what everyone else do, you're just another one.
Exactly.
So the thing is, I remember, so we were studying English and I got my last, it took me about 9 months to get my ATPL license in Brazil. 9 months.
9 months.
Luckily, I was doing an advanced. I just did it because I always had a target. I'm going to be better. I'm going to have another thing. So when eventually I said, do you know what? I'm going to apply. I was ready. Because you can't imagine it if you need, because
you cannot wait for this to happen, for the need to come.
You never know when the opportunity will come. You never know.
Exactly.
You must be ready. So even though I came here, I'm getting my, I got my FAA license. I got my license in Canada. I'm getting my European license, because from here, I don't know where I'm going tomorrow. And I need to be ready.
Wherever it is, yeah.
Whatever happened, whatever, because now with this pandemic, for example, before the pandemic, there were 4,200 pilots at Emirates. Now, there are 2,100, and they still firing.
Half of it. We're talking about a 50% reduction.
And they will fire more. So you needed to be ready. Do you know
I have here, yeah. And okay, guys, you never know about tomorrow. That's right.
Yes,
we have
you
here,
never know.
yeah.
Be ready.
I have a very nice question here from Juliane. She's asking here, in the event of communication failure, Do international pilots keep the last authorization given, or do they follow the flight plan?
This is a really nice question, and it's one of the trickiest one because depend of the country. Every country has a different role for communication failure. That's why we need to study for every single flight, because every country has a completely different role.
So depending on where you're traveling to, you must be familiar with the rules.
Exactly. So that's why we need to study. And not only for example, that's why we need to study a lot. Because, for example, we fly from Dubai to whatever. We go to Russia. To fly through Iran, you need to call the Iranian air defense 10 minutes before the border. If you don't call them, they send you the jets.
Oh my gosh.
So what happened once look what happened, because in Brazil, the pilots are quite lazy. So we don't read all the roads, the countries we are flying through. Usually we read only the destination country. Okay. But you need to read every single country you're going to overfly. In an event of emergency, what are the procedures on that country? Depending where you are, you have like a different procedure for emergency descent, for example. Every country has one.
And this thing about the Iran, the Iranian rule, 10 minutes before crossing the border, it's not like standard.
No, that's why. You go to Russia as well. But look what happened to go once. They were delivering one aircraft. So they flew from Brazil. They go to Europe, whatever it is, because they were delivering one aircraft to fly Dubai here in Dubai. Mm-hmm. So the pilots didn't read the books. So they got into the Iranian airspace without authorization. Mm. If you get in there, they send the fighters. They send 2 fighters.
Okay, air defense people, the fighters.
Yeah, they know it.
Oh gosh,
so like,
shooters, yeah.
Send the fighters, and you needed to leave the country. So they needed to turn back, left the country, and they went through Iraq. But they didn't have the fuel enough then to come. And after they sent the fighters, they sent the bills.
The bills?
Yeah, someone needs to pay.
You have to pay. Oh my gosh. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You have to pay for this.
If you get one, if you make a mistake like that in Emirates, you're fired. They are not going to hold you here. So we don't care. You're not here to make us lose. Yeah, in Brazil, they always forgive you because no one knows. But here is something unacceptable. If you make a mistake, but in the book, how you go to a country that you don't know what the rules are.
Wow. And I have the final 2 questions, okay, Diego? This one is from Julianne as well. Very nice question. What's your opinion on CPDLC?
I love it. And that's
you love it?
I love it.
Why?
To be honest, it's the best thing ever. Ever. Because it's printed. So there is no miscommunication at all. So especially in a busy airspace, because the busiest airspace in the world is from London to New York. That route, the North Atlantic, is really, really busy. So we go there. You can not only, but if you don't have CPDLC, they've got sent to you some like random roads. You don't take the easiest tracks because it's so busy. And it's really good because it makes the lives easy. You go to US, the clearance it's given on CPDLC, super nice. You just print, check. There is no miscommunication. There is no excuse. You can check twice, 3 times, whatever. So it's the future by far.
Very good. And one more question here. You talked about the American controllers, which is when they are requested to repeat, they speak faster and faster. And what about the opposite? Is there like a country where the controllers are more helpful? Is there like a country like, I like traveling there because there the guys are really nice. They're really helpful. They're willing to help. Is there such a thing as like a nice country to go to because of the control, because of ATC?
Europe is quite easy. Wherever you go, Europe is quite friendly, except Paris, right? If Charles de Gaulle, Charles de Gaulle, they are not because they are really busy as well. But besides Charles de Gaulle, wherever you go to Europe, like Spain, Portugal, or even Africa. I love flying to Africa. They are really easygoing. They're like, man, do whatever you want to make your life easier. Just let us know what you need. So Africa is
Wow.
really, yes. They are the worst country, or the toughest country in the world to fly to are the Australians.
Why?
Because there is something with the Australians. I haven't met other people so they're like, they are really by the rules.
Yeah,
Whatever you do, they give you a fine.
really?
And they are like that.
So they are narrow-minded.
They are, and anything it's a fine. They don't care you haven't been there. It's the Australian mentality. Whatever they do,
Wow.
they are worse than, like, we think usually the Japanese or English, whatever. They are by the book, but I haven't met someone like the Australians. Even in Emirates, when we fly with them, it's really tough because they are really by the book. Sometimes you need to be more flexible.
Yeah.
You can't follow the rules all the time. But Australians, so Australia, by far, it's where everybody's afraid of, not because of communication. It's because if you do anything wrong, they will write you down, send you the fine.
Wow. So I mean, so getting fines. By the way, guys, getting fines like getting a multa. Yeah.
Sorry.
So getting a fine is something that happens. I mean, all over the world. I mean, if you do something wrong, they will write you down.
Most of the countries, they know you're not from there. If you do apologize, sorry, I didn't know, whatever it is, they let you go. But in Australia,
Nice.
in Australia, they are there with them. In
Wow.
Australia, horrible.
Interesting.
So that's
what you
why
said
they need
that.
to be studied to get there, because they have, like, as well, like, their unique communication. Especially in Australia, they have so many different rules. So many different rules. So you need to start. That's what is good about Australia. It's a long flight. So we have the entire flight to start.
So people say, so how do you spend your time flying to Australia? Well, actually, I spend my time reading. Oh, like a novel? No, the rules.
The rules, because it's really
Yeah.
different. Really.
Well, you see, at least you got something to do on your way to Australia. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope they don't change this so much so you don't have to keep studying like all the time. But
Oh, no,
you
but
have to, right?
You have to, because I don't fly that often to Australia. So.
Exactly. So it's nice that you said that, because sometimes, I mean, I don't know, maybe the controller might think this as well, because we have a feeling that, oh, you always come here, I mean, this is Springboks come here all the time. So guys, bear in mind that just because the flight is regular and you always have this flight every day, it doesn't mean the pilot inside is the same, right?
Yes.
This is a very nice message, because I mean, I, for one, didn't know that. It never occurred to me that, the flight is regular, but the pilot, it could be his first time.
Yes, especially I do Rio a lot. I used to, at least. I don't know if they're gonna keep the flight, but what I mean, a lot. It's 3 times a year.
3 times a year is a lot.
Yes, because we fly the world. So going to the same destination, keep it. And of course, I'm already familiar with the airport, so for me it's much easier. But this is mean a lot. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if I have, what is my next flight? For example, Frankfurt. My next flight is to Frankfurt. I haven't been to Frankfurt for, I don't know, 1 year, 1 year and a half.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Like, and I have been there quite a few times in 4 years, because I have been in Emirates for 4 years, and I have been to Frankfurt maybe 4 times, and it's one of the countries or the cities I have been the most.
So it's like, you see?
Because we fly the world. I'm talking about more than 100.
Like today, you just arrived from New York, yeah?
Yes, yesterday, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Last time we talked, you were coming to Australia.
Yeah, and JFK, I have been to JFK twice in 4 years.
Wow. You see, guys, so this is the thing. So every time you have this feeling like, oh, but these guys come here all the time. Well, the plane does, the flight does, but the crew, not exactly. So be nice to them, yeah? And so from this talk, we have learned so much today. You see, because so the pilots in the cockpit might not be the same, even though the flight is. I mean, if you just ask them to repeat, they might not slow down. So if you are having problem understanding what is being said, ask for repetition and ask to speak slowly too. Can you repeat more slowly, please. This
Yes.
way, the native pilot will be able to slow down, yeah?
When is a really nice question just coming to my mind now. If you can't understand what they are saying, and even though, because sometimes due to the vocabulary, whatever, even though they speak slower, you might not be able to understand. So another different way you could ask, okay, how may I help you? What do you need? So you can try to get what the pilot needs instead of the problem is. Because sometimes, you know what I mean? It's just another way to approach the issue. So
because
if you
sometimes it's gonna repeat and you won't understand it again, right?
Because if you don't know the word, they can see 1,000 times. You're not gonna get it.
Like, oh, we have a disruptive passenger. I'm sorry, what do you mean by disruptive passenger?
Yes, and even though they
really aggressive.
What do you need? How may I help you? Okay, what do you need? Oh, I need police assistance on arrival. So even though you didn't get it, you can give the best support. Sometimes because if they say slowly or not, something that you don't know, you're not gonna get it. So you could try a different approach. Okay, how may I help you? What do you need? Could it be like he could try to describe the weather he's facing and you can't understand? It's like, sorry, what do you need? I needed to take whatever heading 180 for 50 miles. Okay, take it.
Yeah, I have this pilot once that he's saying that he was reporting ice accretion.
Yes.
And then they say, okay, what's accretion? No, it's ice accretion. Because ice accretion, it's really difficult. But if the guy said like ice accumulation, ice formation, I mean, they would be able. So if you say, I'm sorry, how can I help you? Well, I mean, I need to descend because of ice. Or, I mean, so you're going to be solving the problem even if you don't understand the problem.
And after you have, because the biggest issue is when the pilot is asking you for whatever, describing a situation, it's usually a time critical. Otherwise, he would be asking. So remember, you have like ice accumulation. I need to change level now. I can't be trying to explain. So it's better if you provide the assistance the pilot needs, and further, you could ask for explanation.
What do you need, or how can I help you? Yeah.
Yes. What do you need?
Because
yes, the pilot will tell what he needs. So you just clear the way, whatever it is. You give the vector, whatever you can,
and help him. Later you understand. Yeah.
Yes.
Very good, very good. You see, guys, very nice. And so the thing is, never stop studying English because you never know when you're gonna need it. Plus, even though you have a level 4 already, it doesn't mean that you have to stop studying. Guys, and the thing is, language acquisition is forever. Why? Forever. How can Diego speak English so well like this, being Brazilian? Because he speaks English every day, right?
Yes.
Or and almost every day. And you study.
Yeah.
You see? And same for me, guys. I mean, I need to keep in touch with English all the time. I'm always watching a series in English, so I don't stop. You know. And as a controller, as a student of English, I mean, so if you are level 4 already, doesn't mean that it's done. I mean, language is not only about getting a certificate. You have to keep on studying. You know. If you want to go higher, but I want to go to level 5. Okay. So you're studying for level 5. As you reach a level 5, it doesn't mean that, okay, now I can relax. No. You have to keep in touch with the language, otherwise you will forget. And if possible, to practice with somebody, it's a great idea. As Diego was saying, like as the guys do in academia approach, they speak English among themselves, military pilots talking to military controllers in English. Just for the sake of practicing. But if you cannot do, sometimes I think Go and Turn, they also call in English to practice.
Yes, but it's not that over or not as much as should be.
Exactly,
because but this is the problem. Should be the standard. Guarulhos should speak only in English. Galeão should speak only in English. Because this is the problem. We are thinking just about ourselves.
Yeah.
But we are not thinking about the others. This is an international airport. just
So
after,
everybody should know what's going on. Yeah.
yeah, just being on the other side, now I realize, wow, it's really bad at all. Because every time I go to Rio, they don't know when they should call, because they don't know when they read back or not. It was a clearance. Okay, can I speak now? And you go to those busy airports, they always miss. Or sometimes they try to call in the middle of clearance, or when the guy was, because they don't know the conversation is over or not.
Yeah,
So
you
it's
see,
really,
guys.
and for situation awareness, this is the worst thing as a pilot. It's
Yeah.
when you have a really low situation awareness.
All right. You see, guys, so I think we covered all the questions. I'd
Okay,
like to
so
thank you so much for joining us here. I know it's pretty late or almost pretty early already. Thank you
yeah,
so much for taking this opportunity to talk to us, share this bunch of information, which is going to be really helpful to all of us, to me, to the students. I'm sure that everybody is saying here that they liked very much your talk. And remember, guys, if you didn't understand everything, no problem. This is going to be available for the students in the course. I mean, getting to level 4, getting to level 5. It's going to be in the course in Hotmart tomorrow. Also, I'm going to make this link available for some time on YouTube, so you can watch it again tomorrow maybe, or Saturday or Sunday, because the thing is, right, repetition is going to make you understand. So if you don't understand like 100% today, no problem. It was the first time. We are speaking fast because we're having a chat. But if you do this tomorrow, you will be able to pick up much more from the things we said today, right? If you watch this a third time, you're going to be understanding much more. So the thing is, it's just like those listening comprehension exercise, right? If you listen once, you get like 30, 40%. If you listen twice, you get like 50%, 60%. So try to watch it again, because practice makes perfect. Thank you so much. Pamela is saying it was awesome. Okay.
okay.
Thank you,
Thank you very much,
Pamela.
guys. Thank you very much for the
Yeah.
opportunity, Elmer. It was a huge pleasure.
Luis Felipe is saying that you rock, Diego.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much. He's saying here. You see, so guys, that covers up for today. Thank you so much. It was a great way to celebrate the Aviators Day and the Air Traffic Controllers Day, bringing a brilliant pilot and brilliant controllers together in the room.
Yes.
And I hope to have this more often.
Indeed. So congratulations, guys. Wish you all the best. I hope I could help a bit. And thank you very much for the opportunity, Elmer. It's
Thank
always a
you.
pleasure sharing
Thank
any
you.
knowledge with you. It was really, really nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Diego. We'll be in touch. And for the guys, thank you so much for joining us. That's all for today. And we have to go. Yeah. Diego has to go to sleep now because it's like almost 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank you so
guys.
much.
I wish you all the best. And if someone is from the São Paulo approach or Rio approach, after give the name every time I go there and call you guys.
This is nice.
Yeah.
All right. I'll give the name to Diego later. Okay. Yeah. São
Okay.
Paulo approach and Leão approach. We have some of those. Yeah. We have some.
Yeah, no, or even Curitiba, Saints, or whatever, because I always fly through. So whatever there, I can call you guys there.
Very nice. Thank you so much, man. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you next time.
Indeed. Thank you very much, guys. See ya.
Bye-bye, guys. See you all. All right, here we go. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us.